Hello and welcome back to Deconstructed. I'm your host Sam Animo Mackenzie, and with me, as always, it's Harry Nero Richards. And I went for his real name this time because I'm a nice guy. Harry, how you feeling?
Yeah, great. What a treat. What a treat to hear my horrendous game attack. It's just always such a pleasure.
Your not Roman Emperor inspired game attack.
Nope. Not even.
No.
Not even.
Will never be that.
Great series of books. Great series of books, honestly.
Great series of books for 4-year-olds. Anyway, so today, because I really don't care about your name, let's talk about G2, because G2 have, honestly, for me, become probably the most frustrating team in the top 30, because I like Monassi a lot. NiKo's fun. Hunter's fun when he's not dog shit. And that's kind of the issue, because Hunter is dog shit right now. The team's dog shit right now. And actually, I'm not entirely sure that that's anything to do with Nexa. You know, people might be hating him because Nexa's on the team, and we'll talk about that. But really, this is a team that right now is drastically underperforming, and at least in my opinion, and probably yours as well, is a team that's standing a good chance of just completely losing its spot at the top of the Counter-Strike world. So, with that in mind, what's your thoughts, Harry?
I just immediately want to start pushing back because I just think everyone's just overreacting so much about this G2 team. Like, so much. People are acting like they're bombing out last, man. They're not bombing out last. Their last events. Spring groups, okay. They still qualified, right? Did they? Yeah, they qualified for the spring final. They qualified for spring final, beat a pretty promising Liquid team. Like, okay, Alexi B is just always going to beat them because he's the best IGL in the world. We've been over this. Okay. So they've only lost as Watanabe. World final, 5th to 6th, not terrible. Quarterfinals, first event with Nexa. Like a lot going on.
No, we're not having this. We're not calling that a quarterfinal with a blast event. It's an 8-team event.
Who did they lose to? They've lost to Na'Vi again. They just only lose to Na'Vi, man. Just stop drawing Na'Vi.
Okay.
Then Sydney, they're top 4 at Sydney. Okay, that's fine. They're top 8 in Pro League, top 4 at Gamers 8. They won Cologne. So this is a team that everyone's talking about as if they're fucking dog shit. Like, tell me I'm wrong. People act like everyone's falling off a cliff, that you can never predict their individuals doing anything good.
Okay.
And they've been fine. They've not been where they want to be, but they've been fine.
I hate to cut you off. I don't. I hate hearing the sound of you. Out of mind. I don't disagree with what you said, but I also think you've gone back a very fucking long time. I think Cologne...
At the end I have, yeah.
And you shouldn't be considering that. You shouldn't be considering a lot of these tournaments, and you only need to look at the point Nexa came in, which is World Final.
Well, CCT, but World Final.
CT, where they got bodied, right? So, World Final is what... You know, when it comes to Na'Vi, you can talk about Alexi B's record against these fucking old teams, but honestly, that's just a fucking narrative, right? To go back to what I said in the intro of G2 losing their place at the top, I think Na'Vi's just a better team than G2. And then I'll go further than that, right? We get spring groups. They qualified because they beat Liquid. Now, Liquid look promising, but they also very much look like a team that is brand fucking new. So do you think, you know, if spring groups was in a month or two's time, when Liquid have played a couple more tournaments, really they won't, because I'm pretty sure their next thing is the fucking RMR.
They didn't even qualify for China.
But if Liquid had played some more tournaments, do you think Liquid lose that game to G2? Because I fucking don't. I don't think they lose it for a second.
Okay, so like long-term prospects, I think Cadian will take a while to get his system going, but I do think Liquid will be a better team than G2. Yeah, I do. But I think that's an IGL diff thing. What I'm going to say about G2...
No, hold on. Let me finish my point first. Okay. Fuck your point. Right? So there's Liquid. There's one team. Na'Vi, 2 teams. Both better. G2 didn't have that last year.
No. Na'Vi are better matchup-wise. They're better matchup-wise. They're not a better team.
Whatever.
I don't think.
Whatever. Right? Still a team they'll lose to. Okay? There's 2 teams that are better. Remember, G2, top 3 team last year. G2 face Vitality. Yeah? We in agreement?
Top 2, yeah.
Okay.
Cologne and Kato, man. Bro.
Yeah, 2 months of the year. Sound. right? Okay. Would they lose to Vitality? Yes. So they're still below Vitality. Would they lose to FaZe? Yes. Yeah? Fair?
Yeah.
So there's 4 teams, right? Spirit. They would get bodied by Spirit.
Yeah.
They would get bodied by Spirit, actually. And that would be a really funny thing to watch happen.
I'll let you finish, but go on.
I think Mouse could beat them. I'm not saying Mouse would beat them consistently, but Mouse could beat them. Falcons, if Boris just decides to kill everyone on a given day, because apparently he does that. And there's probably a host of other teams. We're talking about a team that was top 3 in the world consistently. VP could fucking beat them as well, by the way. Now top 8 team. And yes, everyone else is stronger, but G2 is a team that should be top 5, pushing top 3 a lot. They have NiKo and m0NESY, for fuck's sake. That's a top 8 team.
Do you know what I will say? I will say that G2 is not a team you can use the word consistently about if you want to measure success. Because even last year, so they've ended the year with enough ranking points to be considered the second best team of the year. Just on HTV ranking, they were the second highest ranked, okay, for the year with no decay. But you look at their year, they're a top 10 team that won Cologne and Katowice. That is the story of G2. They're a team with very, very high peaks and actually quite a low floor, and they will always be that team. Okay, we're recording this during Katowice. m0NESY is like a 2.0 rating. We know what HooXi's system is. We know what its flaws are. The flaws are that it's so fucking loose that if your individuals are playing badly, and arguably they are at the moment, especially CT side with NiKo and Hunter dropping off, then they're going to be this inconsistent and then going to look like a top 10 team instead of a top 3 team. But I guarantee you that if fucking NiKo works out CS2 and Hunter pops off for an event like he always does twice a year, and m0NESY keeps this level, they'll just win the odd tournament. They just will. And even if they are, you know, on any given group stage game, I could see all of those teams you just listed beating them and it being like, okay, fine, whatever. Okay? But that's not the point about G2. G2 are a purple patch team. They're a team that elevates themselves for a few tournaments a year, and that's all they ever need to be. They just need to hit their peaks at the same time, and then they'll just win that tournament. Because that fragging trio is as good as any, genuinely, when it's on form. And I think we used to underrate Hunter, maybe we overrate him a little bit, based on his, like, basically form since Cologne, even form since Kato, maybe. But I still think it's kind of there. I still think there's a reason why Vitality wanted him. Like, there's still a lot there in that player. And that is what we talk about with G2.
No, they wanted him because there's very few players like him. And they had to fill that
So he's very fucking valuable because a third star is so hard to find. So
yeah, but if he's playing ass, he's playing ass.
But that's my point. My point is, you can't look at G2 at their average level. G2's average level is never going to be good enough for their players while they have such a loose system.
Okay.
But G2's peaks,
okay.
I'm not convinced that they're incapable of hitting those peaks ever again. I'm just not. Because fucking last episode we recorded, we said they were rubbish, and then they won Cologne. So...
Okay.
I mean, I'm going to say the same thing I said then. It's about their peaks, and they're still capable of them.
I don't disagree with that, right? But let's talk about the elephant in the room, at least for most people. Like, there's definitely more issues than this, but the elephant in the room is Nexa. And there's a lot of things that can be said about Nexa. But let's just say the main one. Nexa is dog shit. Like, he is a bad player. He has surprised me on G2 because he's not been utter dog shit, but he is shit. Like, let's just say it how he is. He's not a good player, right? So if you're talking about this peak level of G2, that peak level, and JKS, not as good as people think he is, definitely, like, maybe could be on a team where he is just all of the space. But
yeah,
he wasn't as good as people pretend he was, but he was a player that had a higher peak. Like, this is a guy who, if you hadn't have got your grubby little hands in it, he's probably the MVP of Kato. But obviously, you exist and you're a disgusting cretin.
He was like fourth.
Bro, you were literally Sleeve was like prepping a JKS interview, and then like
No. Sleeve was
I
prepping
just
a
got told
JKS
it was
interview
Hunter.
because Prof told him it was probably JKS, bro. And then it just wasn't. It was like Yabby was like second, Hunter, Yabby,
really enjoyed
NiKo played really
sounds
well.
like that in your head, by the way.
I just can't do bro in any accent other than virtue. So you
I
know
mean,
what I mean.
Prof,
You know what I mean.
I feel like it's offensive.
Prof didn't have a
but anyway.
Scooby.
Yeah, okay. Prof didn't have a Scooby because whatever. I don't give a fuck.
It was close on, but JKS wasn't that good.
But you can't tell me that G2's peak level isn't actually drastically lower with Nexa.
Okay. Here's my reasoning. Do you remember when they signed JKS and everyone was like, "That's a bit weird role-wise, isn't it?" Because everyone kind of sees the game in a different way to how G2 themselves were seeing it, right? So G2 looked at it and they said, HooXi bitch IGL, NiKo star opener, Hunter third star, like fourth man in the pack, comes back to the pack, blah, blah, blah. JKS lurker. They thought they needed a lurker because they were playing Jax as a lurker and he was fucking dog shit and ruined Alexi B's chances with that team. So that was the way they saw the team. And then because it's JKS, he's a very good anchor on CT side. So CT side, it was completely fine. JKS was very, very good on CT side. And obviously a better player than Nexa. We're not going to go that far. But on T side, this is not someone who was making space for anyone. Okay, some maps, okay, so NiKo's not actually completely an opener. Some maps, NiKo is like lurking, like Mirage, whatever. He is the one who's on his own a lot of the time because those mid lurks, like even though he's taking space in middle, that becomes the lurker so often, right? So JKS isn't like the star lurker. I'm not saying that. But he's not someone who creates space on T side. He is a very, very passive player who's only entered once in his life, and it was because Carrigan told him to, and they won the tournament because he was being selfless, okay? That's not JKS. I think the signing of Nexa was an admission that on T side, they need a little bit more space than just HooXi jumping around corners. HooXi can only jump around a corner for one player around. And you look at their trading stats, and JKS used to be a fucking beta, okay? That's just the player he is. That's fine. You get Nexa in. Nexa is the traditional support player. And we can talk about whether you need two support players. And I think the idea of the two support players was to get Hunter back on track. And I think that's where you can point at Nexa and say, okay, so you're a much more selfless player than JKS ever was, especially on T side. But if we're not seeing Hunter's numbers go up, then what's the point? Because I think that has to be what you're looking at and what you're pointing at and saying, if you're just going to swap Nexa for JKS and he's still playing these lurk roles but just entering a little bit more often, what's the fucking point when you've got so many good players out there? And my point with Nexa is that I refuse to believe he was their first choice. I refuse to believe it. I think there's enough rumours about Bit, rumours about Crimbo. I think they just wanted an upgrade on JKS, to be honest. Because you look at JKS in the last half of 2023 and he wasn't that good. He just wasn't that good.
Okay, but here's the thing, right? So you've said the idea of space taken, the idea of resources, and I agree. I've been in a room with HooXi, I've been in a room with NiKo, I've heard them both say it. I think it's definitely a point that was valid to them. I also think they just didn't like JKS, to be honest. Like from especially from seeing NiKo struggle through questions, they just didn't like him, and that's whatever.
They talk about comms a lot. Next is a much more active voice.
Yeah, that's fine. You telling me Crimbo and Bit don't come with the same space resource problems? Sure, they'll probably be more selfless and willing to go first a bit more, but it's the same issue.
No, because a player like Bit and Crimbo makes Hunter be the bitch. Okay, on T side, Hunter's a bitch if you've got Bit or Crimbo as your closer, and I don't think when it's JKS, Hunter sees it like that. Do you know what I mean? I think Bit or Crimbo would demand the space and get it. I think JKS was like, yeah, okay, I'll do whatever, guys. And then just fucking lurks and bades. And then Hunter just plays badly on T side. So I don't think it was worth it by the end. I think JKS dropped off too much.
The issue isn't really the issue.
I think there's two issues. I think there's JKS dropping off, which meant that they needed a better lurker. and there was two ways to decide whether they wanted a better lurker. It was either upgrade JKS, which I'm sure they fucking tried. They must have tried with the amount of good anchors on the market. Well, not on the market, but available in some way. And option 2 is, can't get anyone like that. Let's get a support player and just go full star trio and really go for that trio. And I think they've just gone for option 2 because they couldn't do option 1. I think that's what's happened.
Okay, so let's throw something into it then, because they've gone for option 2, and this is, you can hypothetically have Hunter playing well. You can have NiKo not being shite at the moment. You can have all of this stuff for this answer. Can it work? Can having HooXi being HooXi and Nexa being Nexa work alongside these players?
So I don't think Nexa's terrible, but...
Oh no, he is. I don't think you watch enough Counter-Strike if you think Nexa isn't terrible.
I'm just trying to be nice, okay? But okay, so you line them up.
I have to interview them sometimes.
Less often than you do. You just
I can't get my thoughts out of my head. I've called them shit on a podcast. Shut the fuck up.
Brilliant. That's not what I mean.
Sorry.
But okay. So you line them up against other teams like 3rd and 4th stars. Okay, so you've got Flames Mezzi, no contest, obviously. Rain and probably Frozen. Worse.
No contest at all, because Frozen's probably the best player on
Ema and
base.
JL, I don't love it. Fame and Mir, well, Norbert and Mir, that's probably like fairer.
Better.
Like Brolin Zershin.
Better.
So then it's what, like Loppy and Grim, probably
also better. Spirit,
Loki.
Better. Falcons, better.
So this is the problem. This is the problem because HooXi is so selfless, but there's a reason he's selfless, and we all know the reason he's selfless, and we don't need to harp on about why he's so selfless. But he's doing the right thing. Can they afford to have another one? And I think you can. I think you can, because I do kind of think their star trio, if Hunter was eyeing Katowice Hunter all year...
Was a 1.2 rated player all year.
Then it'd be fine. But obviously that's very unreasonable to expect. And he's got a 1.00 rating.
Maybe if NiKo was a Cologne NiKo all year. Let's throw that one in.
Yeah, because you look at teams, there's also ways to build a team, okay? You can have 4 fraggers. That's the route people go down. You can have 3 fraggers. That's the route people go down. You can have 2 fraggers. And if you have 2 fraggers, it's very hard. It's very, very hard, okay? That's like... We're talking about this team, and honestly, closest comparison with Hunter at this current level is fucking Borup and Stare and Buzz. Honestly, we're at that point. Okay, I think Hunter is literally playing at a Buzz level in the last 3 months,
and NiKo ain't playing at a Blame F level.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing, and that is the thing. And then you've said that out loud, and you look at it, and you're like, fuck, this is bad. This is really bad. And I still believe what I said earlier about they've got the capability to peak. And what maybe the question becomes is then, is that enough? Is that enough for a team like G2 to just peak at a few events a year? And if those events are Katowice or Cologne, then yes, obviously. Obviously you take that. If they could win Katowice and Cologne again this year, you fucking take that with both hands. I don't think any team would ever.
They won't win a tournament.
But I don't think they will. I don't think they will, because I think Hunter was a late bloomer, but he is like 29. I think he's approaching the point where you probably want him to be 4th star, not your 3rd star. I think they've gambled
on... You probably just want him to become an IGL.
Maybe. So then what do you do? Because he could be a pack rifler, I think. I think NiKo is leaning more into these lurk spots, and I think it's maybe a separate point. Probably shouldn't have gone it too far, but I think a G2 rebuild around Hunter is more of a veteran IGL, which is harsh on HooXi, right?
Is it?
But I think
let's get to this. Let's move past this to make this a more rounded point for a second, right? Because Nexa could also do this job.
No. If Nexa,
I don't think he should
shocked.
either. I don't think he should either. I don't think he should either, right? But we both spoke about the inconsistency that comes with HooXi's calling style.
Mm-hmm.
I like HooXi a lot. I think it'd be kind of unfair on him, especially with the cards he's been dealt this year. Is it time to move past HooXi? Could Nexa do a similar job to HooXi?
I think Nexa's the fourth best IGL on G2.
But yeah, me too. But based on what we've said, does that matter? Because if the players peak, the players peak. Nexa's still got to like a fucking...
Okay.
Did Nexa get to a major final? Yeah, Nexa got to a major final. Like,
yeah, because NiKo was peaking.
Yeah, okay, fine. That only serves my point.
Yeah.
This is a better G2 team than that team. So, does it matter? You could get rid of HooXi, you get someone who can fucking fire a gun, and it's the same thing.
Yeah, so that's the fun way to look at it. The fun way to look at it is you keep NiKo and m0NESY, you make Hunter an IGL, and then you get a pack support player.
I mean, that's obviously the dream.
Right, you get a pack support player, and then you get like a Crimbo, because they've just missed the major, and I know he signed a long-term contract, but fuck me if he's not regretting it, surely. So you stick Crimbo in, German, get a German player, fuck it, who's asked. And then you get like a pack player, honestly, stick Tessas in. Cooking. Tessas, Hunter, that's just the first name I thought of. Tessas, Hunter, m0NESY in your pack.
Don't hate it.
NiKo, Crimbo, I like it. And like, honestly, like, is that just a better team? Is that just a better team? I think it probably is just a better team. And I think the main reason it's a better team is that the time has come for Hunter. And he could shock me. He's the type of player who could have a bad 6 months and then just stick an MVP level in. But that is the type of player, like you look at FaZe, and Rain is that player. Rain's that veteran who can pop off. But he's your fourth best player. It's fine to have your fourth best player be like that. It's not fine to have your third best player like that. If you're a team that wants to compete with vitality and spirit and everyone else,
because
right?
I mean, with FaZe is a great example because a lot of the times FaZe struggled, their third best player was Twist, and he was having a shit event.
Yeah, like it's just, like I actually want to do a proper in-depth article on this. In that, what's the most important thing for a team? Is it that your second best player is really good? Is it that your best player is really good? Is it that your third best player is really good, or fourth best player, or even is it like
I think it's
your
third
fifth best player not being shit?
I mean, you'll look
what's
into
the point where you split a team and you say, okay, this is why they're losing? And I think it's obviously going to be different for each team, but I think it's something to explore.
But you'll look into it and get a real answer. But I think it's third and fourth. I think it's something in the middle.
Yeah, I think 2 isn't enough. I think a player like Magisk and even like Zontix on the Spirit team, who I think is really fucking good, like, and Hunter in years gone by, I think third stars are like my favorite niche players because I think it's so easy. Like I think Snappy was talking about this on a podcast. It's so easy to set up 1-star Rofer and 1-star Orpa and then do really well. We see loads of teams with 2-star players. The third star player is naturally just going to have less space. He's just going to have less space. So if your third star player is playing really well, that's when you can start winning tournaments. I think a fragging trio and 2 supports is the way to go. And I think G2 want that. I think that's what G2 are aiming for. But I think Hunter is just not been good enough for too long now. I think Hunter needs to be a fourth player, not a third player. And if you're going to do that, that's why I liked the idea of a Crimbo or a Bit, or like a JKS that was actually killing people. But JKS wasn't killing people. JKS has the same KPR as Nexa. I'll check that. JKS was like 0.64 kills per round in 2023, and that's including his Kato peaks and stuff.
Just a better rating because he doesn't die.
Okay. JKS since July, and this is including a Cologne win, right? JKS since July had a KPR of 0.61. Okay, that's like really bad. That is, fucking hell, what is that? Like 50, it's like 17 kills in 30 rounds or something. 16, 17 kills, 30 rounds. It's not enough. It's 15. It's like, it's not enough. It's just not enough. Okay. Well, that was really bad maths. Anyway, point is, it's bad. But because he's got a 39% survival rate, it looks fine. His rating's 1.02, and you're like, oh, JKS, he's so hard done by. He's got such hard rolls. Shut up. Rops plays those roles. Okay. So that's my point with JKS. I just think JKS wasn't killing enough people. I think the structure for G2 that works
JKS
is
is
to
the
get...
most overrated player in the world.
I think the structure for G2 is m0NESY's your fucking superstar. NiKo is should still be your best rifler as like an X-Factor aggressor. But then you want that third star. Third star is so important, and I think it would be better if it was a full-time lurker. I think a team structure works better if you've got, and I know I said Tessers, but I think NiKo could still be the pack guy. I think NiKo could still be the trader in the pack. I think that still works on most maps. And then at that point, I think even if you keep HooXi, even if it's HooXi, NiKo, m0NESY pack, Hunter as your supportive fourth player, and then a star lurker, I think that still works. I think that's the important thing, is having a stable third star, like JKS, who doesn't die, doesn't make mistakes, but unlike JKS, at least recently, kills people. That's so important. That's what they were lacking, I think. And I don't think it's a HooXi problem. I think HooXi has to have a loose system because look at his players. I think all of these international teams, to an extent, are quite inconsistent. I think the way FaZe and Vitality have kind of eclipsed that is nuts, but FaZe have had their inconsistencies. That's happened very... like, the only thing you could predict from FaZe is inconsistency. And CS2 has changed that to an extent, and that's fair enough to them. But Vitality, not started 2024 amazingly. So where does it leave you, right? Where does it leave you? And I think for me, I don't think it's Nexa's fault, but I think they've built a team structure where Nexa's doing his job, but Hunter isn't. And I think the spotlight will be on Nexa. And I think it's not Nexa's fault.
Yeah, of course it will. Of course it will. And this is what I wanted to say, and we can loop back to the idea of, you know, what would be a better team structure for G2. But this is what I wanted to say, is that as shit as I think Nexa is, you're just fucking wrong to blame him right now, because like I didn't even realise how fucking bad Hunter was until you sent me how bad Hunter was this year. Like Hunter is, or in the last few months, whatever.
It's CS2,
Hunter
yeah.
It's CS2, okay. Hunter is not performing at anywhere near an acceptable standard. Like he's putting up IGL numbers.
No, it's not that
so
bad.
He may
It's like, okay, so Hunter... So CS2 started Sydney, right? So he has got a 0.99 rating at Sydney, 0.99 rating at World Final,
IGL numbers.
0.98 rating at Spring Groups, and then at Kato
IGL
after
numbers.
one best of 3, 0.89. So
IGL numbers.
it's not...
It's IGL numbers.
It's more like 4-star numbers. Well, not 4-star, 4th player numbers. It's more like support player numbers.
Oh, by a
but either
difference
way,
of
yes,
0.03.
It's a problem. It's definitely a problem.
If Hunter was IGL, that's the numbers you'd expect him to put up. Because in your head, Hunter
Yes,
IGL,
if he was
that's
IGL,
fracking
yeah.
IGL. That's a fracking IGL.
It's a
in your
fracking
head.
IGL.
Yeah. So, okay. So Hunter's shit right now. Now let's have a look at NiKo in CS2, who's been nerfed by, what, 50%? Like,
Yeah. Well,
effectively.
NiKo's
And
CT
NiKo's probably a
side's
player that should
really
actually
bad.
fry in CS2. Like,
No,
there's no reason.
Don't think so. I think there was a big reason. Okay, I think you
There's
look at
no
Donk.
reason why he couldn't take advantage of it. It's NiKo.
Yes, but we've seen NiKo have metas where he should be the best player in the world and be stubborn and not do it before. That's happened before. I think
but that's because he's a
it's my
Chad
thing
who
on
wouldn't
NiKo.
use a scoped weapon.
Yeah, he's a Chad who wouldn't
Big
use a scope
man.
weapon, and he's
Big
a
man.
Chad who's not abusing Peeka's advantage enough. He's not doing
Exactly.
enough. You
That's where
watch
he's a
Donk.
fucking idiot.
You watch Donk, even on CT side, that guy is always the one swinging. Like, I've made a meme out of it in our pugs, because I watched Donk play, and I've started just doing it. I'm not that player. On CSGO, I'm not that player at all. CS2, since I started just being a fucking maniac.
Hold on,
And
pussy.
it is like, it's a bit about being smart and having the right, having the right angle that is one where you can swing behind it. Like, it's not just holding W because you just die, because if you're holding W the whole time, they're the one peeking you more of the time. Like, there is a bit of an art to it. And Donk's got that nailed down, and that's why he's a better rifler than NiKo right now. Because NiKo is, on T side, he's just naturally peeking because he's still doing his amazing pre-aims and whatever. But on CT side, he's holding angles. Stop doing that. Just stop doing that. The game's different now, NiKo. Peek, unpeek, angles where you can swing, clearing things with more intent than NiKo ever likes to, because he wants to do the pre-aims and the perfect pre-aims. I think CS2's really hurt NiKo, and I think it's obvious why when you look at the type of rifler he is. He's the rifler who goes quite slowly and is kind of silent peeking, angle by angle, like dissecting a bomb site. I think it makes perfect sense why NiKo's been shit on CS2, because it's just not that type of game anymore.
No, I'm not saying it doesn't make sense. I'm saying he's one of the few players in the world who could just be the best at either one. He's just got to fucking prove. Like, he's just got to, like, be willing to do it. And he's not.
And NiKo that Xantares peaks
fault.
everything. That's terrifying.
Yeah.
But it isn't his playstyle. I think there is a huge difference between the wide swing and the NiKo shallow swing. Huge difference. And I think it's going to be really hard for him to adapt to it. On T side, you can see that he is. Like, we are oversimplifying, obviously, because it's just, you just always have to a little bit. He is doing it quite a lot. And I think it's just adapting. And on CT side, everyone's worse on CT side. Like, we talked about Na'Vi, like, recently. Like, they're just a fucking huge T side team. They win like 4 rounds every CT side and then just come back every game. Like, that's just the way they play. Like, to an extent, it is a more T-sided game because of this. And even on LAN, yes, it's still very different even on LAN. But with NiKo, it's like, how concerned should you be by his CT numbers? Because I think it is literally, I had it up. Okay, I'm just going to get it up because it really proves the point. This is G2 on CS2 with Nexa. Okay, CT side rating. Manasi 1.26, Hunter 1.06, NiKo 1.06, Nexa 101, HooXi 0.92.
I think when it comes to how concerned, I don't think you can give a judgment on that until after the major, because there's a lot of Counter-Strikes we play between now and then.
Yeah, this is only
regardless
33 maps.
Of where G2,
33 maps.
Like, regardless of where G2 finish in the major, you providing they get to the major, that is, you play a reasonable amount of Counter-Strike to get there. I can't see G2 3-0ing anything right now. Like, any Swiss system, they ain't 3-0ing that. So they're going to play quite a few maps. And, like, if this is what it is then you've got to be really concerned. And I still don't think that you put it down to, like, just NiKo. Like, maybe I'm wording that wrong, but, like, I still think you give the opportunity for him to become NiKo again. You do it after a rebuild or whatever. Yeah, of course. Like, you do it after a rebuild, but, like, there's going to be a point where you get overly concerned, and I don't know what that point is. Like, NiKo realistically probably has a wind down year before you can start talking about the fall of NiKo. But these current numbers, unacceptable. Hunter's numbers, unacceptable. And that's what's going to bring me to the point that I want to make. How long's Muncie willing to stick by that? Because
well, that's the thing, isn't it? I think
there's already teams that have been interested in him. Falcons were.
Yeah.
C9 were. Regardless of what anyone fucking says, C9 fucking were. So,
and NiKo have agreed to leave too. Like, this isn't a project that people inside it are 100% sure about. Like, I know NiKo stayed, but he didn't renew his contract. That's not happened. He's still on the same deal that's going to run out, I think, end of 2025. So he's still, keeping his options open. He's not renewing. Manasi, you know better than me, but he's been flirting with prospects. Rumors are coming out about Cloud9 and things like that. Like Banks tweeting, BO3 did a crappy article on it. It's there's murmurings. There's murmurings about Bit as well. Manasi and Bit, old academy duo. Like, there's things happening. This isn't out of complete nowhere that Manasi is suddenly loads of stuff about Manasi wanting to be in a Russian-speaking team, and specifically the one with all these Na'Vi idols on. That's not out of nowhere. So you're looking at it and you're thinking your franchise players, both of them, are kind of trying to jump ship at the start of CS2. And it's just not a good sign. It's just not a good sign.
G2 can do this whole, Manasi's not for sale. Okay, that's fine. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have, like, I don't know when his contract's up, but let's say his contract's up same time as NiKo's, right? Sure, he won't be for sale this year. But when you get to the start of next year and you're like, all right then, Ilya, come on, son. Let's get the contract out. Let's give it a sign. How much extra money do you want? Oh, we can't pay you enough. Oh. Cool. Wait, what? Are you going to let someone
It'll
like
be
that
a longer
leave for
term deal than
nothing?
that, though, right?
Like,
Sure, you get
are you
Muncie on
gonna
like a
let-
4 or 5 year deal. He signed
Okay,
2022.
Sure, whatever.
I think he's locked away, man. I think
Are
he's
you
locked.
gonna let a player like fucking Muncie leave for fucking nothing? No, you're not. And the further on you leave it, like how much are you gonna get from him? You'll probably get back what you paid. Sure, you probably get that back within 6 months. 6 months of the deal.
They paid 600k for him.
Yeah.
He should be going.
6 months.
Yabby
no.
and Stown were 2 mil.
No, that's fine. But I'm saying, like, if you got 6 months to the end of his deal, then 600k, sure.
Yeah.
But, like, they should be getting, I don't know, 2 million, 3 million. Like, they should
4
be
million.
getting a lot more. This is the thing. And for me...
Shiro was nearly 2, right? Wasn't there an overdrive thing? He was nearly, not overdrive.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
It was someone said he was nearly 2.
But with the money that isn't in esports, you're telling me if a team offers 3 million, you're saying no, grow the fuck up. Grow the fuck up. Like, let's be fucking real about it, right? There is no player that you can get to replace Muncie. There isn't. And that's whatever, right?
That's worth 3 million. Because we could talk about Muncie,
They
like,
can still make a good
the reason... 3 mil?
Phase win events with Brokey.
Phase win events for Brokey because they've got Rops and
Complexity got to a final with HooXi, mate.
Okay, well, shut the fuck
D2
up because
could get
you know you
Mantu and
disagree
Cook.
about this. You know how hard all
I'm
is.
taking the piss
Muncie-
now. I'm just saying,
Muncie,
just let the kid
Zywoo,
go, man. Let the kid go.
Device, these are players you never sell for any money. Ever. If you're
Senpai-
serious about ever wanting to win trophies, I nearly said Senpai, CS2, he's going to have to win me back. But those 3, these are not players you sell. I don't care. Unless your org is literally like at the bank asking for loans and shit, which they might be.
Which
to
I'm
be
pretty
fair.
sure are G2 financially fucked. Isn't that a thing?
I think they might be.
Ah, fucking
But
hell, if someone
if
had
you
offered them
don't
3
sell it-
million. Ah, shit.
That would have been great, wouldn't it?
It would have been really cool if someone
Yeah.
had specifically offered them that specific amount.
That specific amount.
Anyway.
But this is what we're saying. Muncie is... And I always used to talk about Muncie as if he was like a moments player, right? Like, I think Elliot coined
No,
that.
he's not.
Like,
He's just a fucking good player.
I think he used to be. I think he used to be a moments player when it was kind of like Springer last year. Like, it was more like the NiKo show still. CS2, he's fucking worked it out. Like, everyone harps on about Robs working the game out instantly and doing all the geeky shit. Muncie worked out at the same time. I did an article on Sydney, like after Sydney's group stage, and it was like, all the other Orpers are now pussies.
Oh, Muncie was just the
was
highest
running
player at the
into
event.
cave, bro. He was just running into
He
cave.
was
His
just the
opening
highest
attempts went
rated player
up
at the event.
after
He's
CS2.
outrageous. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
outrageous.
He's unbelievably good now. He is proper superstar. I think the top 3 at the end of this year, I would be shocked if it's not Zywoo, Donk, and Muncie. I'd be shocked. I genuinely think that if it's not that, it's because G2 have been too shit. Genuinely.
Yeah.
I think they're the 3 best players in the world right now. And
Although Navi were absolute dog shit in 2019 and Simple was top 2, so...
yeah, it's just hard to get EVPs, but Muncie's going to get loads of group stage EVPs for sure. He's going to be like... But look at Device last year. Like, if we're literally comparing him to that team, like, Device went as high as you can go with that good numbers. I think Muncie will have probably even better numbers, but they should go further than Astralis did last year.
This is the thing, man. Like, if G2 have the same, like, a similar major to the one they had last year, like, this team's dead. It's gone. They'll kick Nexa, they'll kick HooXi. They're both gone.
This is the thing, like, if you're Muncie, okay, you're locked in this team for at least a year or 2, for sure. What I would be doing is going, I'm the fucking franchise player now. Sign me, Bit. I want to play with Bit. Sign me, Bit. Just get me Bit. And obviously Navi won't want to do that, obviously. But contracts run out. Contracts expire. Get Bit into fucking G2. And then maybe you keep Muncie for a bit longer. Because as much as he's attracted by the idea of the Russian-speaking team and whatever, Electronic Perfecto Boomage, man. Like, what year is it? What year is it, Muncie? Like, get those rose tinted goggles off. You're not gonna win a major with that team. You might win a major if you're in an international team with Bit and NiKo, and like Hunter as your fourth player, and then you just get either a bitch IGL or a bitch entry or whatever. Like, come on, like this is just better. But I think if G2 don't have the funds to get bit, or don't have the patience to get bit, or whatever, then fine. Crimbo will be just so expensive too. Like Crimbo's buyout will be nuts for sure.
Surely Bit costs more than Crimbo.
I think Crimbo just signed a new deal. Bits.
Oh, he did. Surely, like a buyout, Navi's slapdown is going to be more.
Yeah, I mean, if you buy Bit right this second, he's going to cost a fortune. But they're not. They're obviously not going to.
That's what we're talking about. We're talking about fucking 2 months, mate.
What, after the major? You think? I don't think it's going to be after the major.
Yeah. No, mate.
If they have a bad major, I don't think they're cutting Nexa and HooXi.
If they don't hit major playoffs, gone.
I don't think they're getting bit.
Gone.
They'd have to find a lurker somewhere else. They'd have to find a cheap lurker.
Why?
It's G2. Like, this is not... Like, they spent money on Manassi. Spend money on NiKo.
Then stop holding people hostages, you bastard. Just fuck off. Let them go somewhere else. Let Munisi fuck off to C9 and go and make a god team so we can actually have fun with Cloud9. Fuck off. I
think... And the interesting thing about the Falcon stuff was that I think G2 wanted that 1 mil. They wanted that mil from Falcons for NiKo. They 100% did. Because I think that mil could have been reinvested into a solid opener. It's not going to be NiKo, but a solid opener. And then like they could have got maybe a Bit or a Crimbo and kept Manassi a bit happier. Because if they reinvest the NiKo money into a Bit player, like a Bit type player, then then Hunter can go into the pack and maybe Nexa and Bit as your lurkers and Nexa's the supportive one and Bit's the star player. Like, it's not as good as like a NiKo team. Like, it just isn't. But they'll have a bit of money left over. Bit and Manassi as like a future-proof star duo is nuts. So like you could kind of see behind the scenes, like everyone wanted that NiKo to Falcons deal to happen apart from NiKo. NiKo is the one who stopped that deal. G2 were very happy for that to happen. And it's the Nexa signing, I think, shows a lack of funds or a lack of initiative in the market. Letting NiKo go shows a lack of the same things. I think that they wanted to let NiKo go is pretty criminal, actually. I think it's still fucking NiKo, boys. Like, get him on a new deal, like reduce terms while he's playing shit, I don't care. But it's NiKo. You've got Manassi, who's going to be a top 3 player. Hunter and HooXi, like, I like HooXi, I really like HooXi, but Hunter's future seems to be as an IGL, and maybe it'll be another...
Hunter's just so much of the work. You literally, like, ask HooXi.
He calls business already, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah. It's like, Hunter helps us with, like, he makes all the CT sides. Like, fuck off, man. Fuck off.
Yeah, and it is that type of thing where we've seen these second callers, these really helpful lieutenants, end up being shit IGLs. Like, it's happened. Electronic was dog shit. Stewie 2K was dog shit.
Diabolical.
Yukinda was dog shit. But Hunter doesn't seem that. I think he's got a little bit more about him. Hopefully. Yeah, I think that's the future. If you can't get one of these, like, star IGLs, like, we always thought Kickstand was nailed on for a Na'Vi job, for a G2 job. Like, that was always the one that was so obvious because they've got Pekka does a lot of their scouting as the GM, and he's obviously Balkan as well, so... I think the team that I would have seen as more likely is like a Kixon, Hunter, NiKo plus Lurker plus Manassi. I think that's cooking, honestly, because I think Hunter in the pack would be great.
That with Bit is like...
Yeah, with Bit. Like, because Kicksan's really good. Like HooXi is good, but Kickson frags pretty well, and he still does a lot of supportive work. Like, I think if the major does blow up, I think you need Na'Vi to play badly. You need Bit's deal to expire as soon as some of these shit rumor sites are saying, which I don't think is true. You need a lot of things to align, but I think we're talking about G2, and the problem is the inconsistency. And how do you fix the inconsistency? You get a higher floor with better players and a slightly more strict system. An IGL that... And I think HooXi's playing to his players. He's trying to Carlo Angelotti it in a way that Carrigan actually never does. Carrigan's more strict than people think. HooXi's really the one just being like, star players, go star player, please. And obviously there's still a lot of four behind it.
And he's like, NiKo, I do something, mate. Would you
and also, One thing we haven't talked about, which I think is relevant to this point, when it's all a complete tangent, is getting Taz in as a coach instead of Swanee. And from interviews and everything they said, they're just like, Swanee's just too nice. It's just too nice.
They just didn't rate him. It's
just too nice. Like, he just didn't have a hard enough, hold on the team and everything. And yeah, and I have to say, it's a bit fucking rich, all of these tweets about why isn't Swanee coach of the year? Voted for by players, including your own players. Moving on. So
you've been wanting to say that for a while.
51 minutes I've been waiting.
And a few weeks.
But I think Taz coming in, I think it shows that they want someone who's got some fucking authority. And I think Kixon is very young and might struggle to do the same thing, but I think HooXi is very much like the opposite of a helicopter parent. And I think they could probably, like, Alexi B might have been too much the other way in terms of wanting, because I think come on, every IGL would have a loose system with these players. But to be consistent, I just think you need a little sprinkle of more structure. Just a little sprinkle, okay? You're still going to not say no if NiKo wants to make a play. Like, no one's going to do that. Alexi B didn't do that before anyone says. No one does that. But I think future-proofing, HooXi's fragging is a drag. And I think his numbers would be better if he wasn't so selfless, like, obviously. But I think they'd still be bad. I think the reason he's so selfless is because he just knows that that's the best way he can help the team. And it's kind of like the MSL thing, I think. I think it is just an ultimately limiting thing because you need so much fragging from the others. I think you raise your floor by replacing HooXi with someone like Kixan, and then you raise your ceiling by replacing Nexa with like a Bit or a Crimbo. I think that's, if I'm the GM with a blank check, which obviously Pekka isn't because they've signed Nexa, that's a fucking signal to the whole scene that G2 aren't spending money right now. That's what I would do. And it's whether they can do that. It's honestly whether they can do that. Because maybe they'll pop off. Maybe they'll win like a Dallas or something with like Monacy on 1.8 rating.
Yippee.
And then they'll be like, oh, it's fine, guys. Look, we've still got our star trio. Like Hunter will have like a 1.15 and they'll be like, we're so back. And then they'll just keep the team. But the consistency just won't be there. It will never be there in this iteration of 5 players. And it wouldn't have been with JKS either. The JKS Nexa thing, it shows a lack of ambition. But JKS wasn't this crazy player. Let's stop talking about it like that. He just survived all the time. Like, and he did improve in playoffs.
He wasn't on Renegades no more.
He did improve in playoffs, but a lot of those numbers are because G2 won those playoffs, right? G2 would bomb out or they'd win the tournament. And they get to these playoff games and Hunter and JKS are elevating their level because stage players, they're experienced players, blah, 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 blah. They didn't need JKS. They needed a star lurker. And the fact they've got Nexa is putting too much pressure on Hunter. And that's what I'll say again and again. It's not going to happen. Okay? Even if it was Magisk in Hunter's roles, would this team win tournaments? I don't know.
Okay.
And that's the thing. I think they need some investment.
Dream lineup, go. And be realistic, because obviously
I think we said
Kixan's off the table.
Do you think he's off the table?
Yeah. With what?
Do you?
With what Heroic reportedly paid for it? Yeah. Not a fucking chance.
Well, I think maybe that's why he's not in G2 is based on how much Heroic paid for it.
No, maybe, of course. But okay, like with what we've got right now, and we'll say like Bits maybe on the table, maybe Crimbo isn't because of the recent deal he signed or whatever.
Do you know what? The player I always wanted to see have a go at shackling NiKo and having a structured system around players that's good was Glaive. It was. I'm not going to suggest it for this, but I just want to mention him in the pods. I think it would be really fun. I think that's what you do, is you give Pep Guardiola Ronaldo and see if he can stop the ego. And that would be really funny. But I think his end team are going to have to be so good for him ever to get a good team, so we can park that one. I think short term, I'll say, okay, we're imagining that they have like a mid Katowice. So like they're going to make playoffs at Katowice, I think. They've got quite an easy path. They should make playoffs at Kato. I think they'll probably make the major, at least legend stage, like maybe a 2-3 team at the major, if we're considering other teams are powering up. Like that's the timeline. if that happens, I think they should cut Nexa for the best available lurker. And I think whether you cut HooXi or not depends on the IGL you can get. Because HooXi is still, for me, a very good IGL.
What about Hunter?
I think making Hunter
takes
IGL is
over IGL.
risky. I think it depends on what player would you get in, right? Because the profile of these kind of sacrificial players, like a Flames type T-side player, it's actually very hard to find. I mean, Tessa's contract, I think, runs out at the end of the year. Pretty sure. Him and Shush, either end of this year or end of 2025. One of them was public. I think a player like Tessa's could do it. I think that's what you need. You need kind of, because even if Hunter is the IGL, he's debating one in the pack, right? He's not, like, he needs an entry. So I think that's what you're looking at, honestly. I think I would probably keep HooXi unless you could get someone like Kixan on the level of a Kixan or a Shuhei or someone like that. And I don't think they can get that. So I think I'd keep HooXi, honestly. So I think it would be HooXi, Hunter, NiKo still doing their weird thing where they lurk some maps, pack some maps, and they're like fluid. And I'd get a star lurker in, and I'd make him my third star. I think you need a stable third star that could do some magic. And then m0NESY is your fucking superstar, and you keep him on that horrible contract where he's never going to leave, and you just keep him there. But yeah, it's that lurker, and there's a few profiles I really like because they would have to anchor on a few bomb sites. But the ones we've mentioned again and again this pod are Bit, because he's m0NESY's friend and everything about his contracts and whatever, and Crimbo. I would love to see Crimbo. I would absolutely love to see Crimbo get a chance in a team like this. I think he would be
I don't want to
amazing.
see Crimbo
So I'll
tabs
say
his career away.
Yes, I'm going to say Crimbo. I think Crimbo actually would adapt quicker to an international team like this.
I also think if you brought in Tessez, having Crimbo would be better than having Bit. I think
culturally.
Yeah. I think NiKo, Hunter, m0NESY, Bit, Tessez is a very lopsided culturally lopsided.
Yeah,
team.
it's a bit weird, right? It's a bit weird.
You add Crimbo in, it's a bit more like okay.
Yeah, and I mean the JKS thing is you probably don't want another JKS type character. I don't know Crimbo too well. But Bit is definitely,
by the way,
definitely a bit of a JKS character.
We've said this. I actually think Crimbo's not been very good when I've watched Big recently. Seems to have dropped off a little bit. Don't know if you've watched.
I mean, the whole team's the way they've started this year is criminal, man. I don't think.
No.
I think it's like when Quesarayo has bad games. I think.
I agree.
Obviously, Quesarayo is. If Quesarayo wants to battle on Furia,
I agree. But when
it's that type of play.
When Big are playing well, I actually don't think a lot of it sounds Crimbo anymore. And we've said that it shouldn't be down to Crimbo, but yeah, it feels like it's.
I mean, Mantu has been their win condition, right?
It feels like it's more of a people stepping up. Like even Process, man, like Process Sin stepping up. Like Crimbo's had some really.
He's just a stable player, right? So I'm just checking now, and it's like. I think G2...
It's actually something to keep it... Like, while we do these, because we always fucking talk about Crimbo stepping up into teams, it's actually something to keep an eye on, that Crimbo is having a lot more bad maps.
Yeah, that's fair enough, but we can also, like, expand it. I think a player like Nerds, I'm surprised they didn't go for Nerds, considering his availability, because I think you stick Nerds in, and maybe he's just very similar to NiKo, isn't he? He's very similar to NiKo, but if you can have Nerds in...
No, I'm pretty sure they did, actually. I'm pretty sure they did.
Why would you go to Heroic if they did? I don't know. There's other players...
Is it probably the buyout thing?
Yeah, even though Heroic just have way more money. Yeah, because of one
even though his buyout wouldn't have been as high as others because he was still on his first contract. Like,
there's also like Jimmy. Other than that, I just don't think it's worth it. Like, you scroll further down on like the list of lurkers, and it's just a lot of players. Like,
yeah.
So I think you are looking at the people we've already named.
I think you want Bit over Crimbo. I really do.
For the m0NESY factor, I think if you get Bit, you keep m0NESY for way longer.
Yeah.
That's the reason I'd have Bit.
But yeah, for me it's Hunter IGL, NiKo, m0NESY, Bit, and then I think you just find
Would Nexa
someone.
be fine as a supportive player in that? Kind of would be. Not really.
Yeah.
Like, you want someone more aggressive, really, but could he be
Yes.
fine?
However, I just think I'm at the point now that we spoke about it for a bit, I'm not sure how long it takes NiKo to get back to his best, because I think him getting back to his best is actually tied to the game, not himself.
Yeah, it's
And-
for patches.
And like, you know, CS2 is going to continue to improve. It's going to continue to feel more like Go, because it already fucking does. Like,
Yeah, it's way better.
I've chat so much shit about CS2 on this podcast. I really enjoy playing it right now. I have a lot of fun playing it.
It's also been long
And
enough we're forgetting, but it's definitely improved.
Yeah, no, it has. It's definitely improved, and I get less annoyed by Pika's advantage now.
Can
Like,
I throw a
'cause I think-
rogue one out just at the end of the pod?
Go on.
Simple as your star liker.
Hate it, but also love it.
How funny would that be?
Hate it, completely hate it.
He's tried to
really
get
love
NiKo
it.
to Navi before.
Yeah, But,
Simple NiKo hunt seeing Nexa.
but I do just think like I think I'm at a point where when it comes to this team, I don't want to see HooXi on it anymore, and I feel really bad because I really like HooXi, and I think he's really
I think he could go to another team and
underappreciated.
elevate it.
Yeah, I think he's really underappreciated, but I
Maybe.
just think for what we've said in this podcast, where it's this kind of peak team, and I think regardless of what they build, it'll be this kind of peak team. Just let fucking nexa-jks or just let Hunter take that evolution. Like, Nex is a better player than HooXi, man. Like, he just is, and he'll like just force him into those fucking spots. Like, Bit Nexa, I prefer the look of Bit Nexa, Hunter, NiKo, m0NESY than I do swapping Nexa for HooXi. And unless you can find these random, like, fucking Russian or Balkan or Ukrainian or any of these people, like, just get a random fucking 18-year-old who's just been, like, gas in tier 2 and he's, like, 50% of donk.
Look at their
Like,
bold predictions this year.
fuck knows.
So you can always
didn't NiKo
tell.
say
You can
Nilo?
always tell.
No, NiKo said a Finn, didn't he?
Just fucking get him in that, boys.
I think NiKo said a Finn. I'm
Let's
sure
find out.
he did. I'm on it. You could look at Hunter. NiKo
Huge.
said... Okay, NiKo said an Orpa. Poddy's an Orpa. Pody. Poddy? Pody.
Yeah, NiKo said Pody. Hunter said Nilo. m0NESY said Cynics.
Not
Who
a
is
fucking
Cynic?
clue, that is.
Because
Not
if they
a
could do like
fucking
what
clue.
FaZe did before, he's a Ukrainian bloke. Plays for ARG. He is...
Right.
Looks like a rifler. Yeah. Looks like a just decent rifler. He played on Smuya's team. The Witches. He's a Witches player. So yeah. Anyway, point is, get a fucking Bit in this team and let him cook. As much as we love the
Point
Navi
is-
project, we both like Navi, but put Simple in for Bit and then have...
Point is, rebuild your fucking team, because your team's fucking dog shit, and I'm fucking bored of it. And with that,
now they're going to win Kate. You just
and with that,
screams
what's
the winning
everyone
Kate.
else's thoughts on G2? Because
Screams
I'm going to
Kate.
shoot myself if they win Katowice.
They're going to.
This will be the last episode of Deconstructed you ever see.
2.2 rating for m0NESY. Just
Other than that, like the video, subscribe to the Bastard channel, and next week we'll probably talk about who wins Kato, or we'll just have another rant about Cloud9, because fuck that team as well.
I'm not talking about that team.
I've been Sam Animo Mackenzie. He's been some cunt from down south. And we'll catch you in the next one.